Welcome to the Zaven Rock and Roll interviews. I'm here today with Rob Johnson. How are you, Rob?
Good, mate. How are you?
Fantastic. Tired after 2 days of marathon meetings?
I can neither confirm nor deny, but yeah, it's been awesome, right? I think the reality is that the venue's really made this event because everyone can mingle, people can't escape because there's a river there, and yeah, I think it's been really good, and obviously we've got Father's Day on Sunday as well, so it's going to be a good weekend as well.
Fantastic. Let's jump to the first question.
I want it all. I want it all.
Is AI for corporates? I still haven't found what I'm looking for, or I want it all, I want it now.
Yeah, so when we talk about AI, I think personally we're going through a bit of a bubble at the moment. As we can see downstairs, lots of people are talking around AI, how it can be used. How I always try and think about it when talking to technology providers and obviously technologists in law firms and in private practice and corporates is having definition around the process, right? And that definition differs depending on the business, right? So if we are talking to a law firm around AI and how they should use that, that's very different to how a corporate should use that and structure it. And that's typically because law firms are working on behalf of their client, right? And how they're running a process and how they should then work as the intermediary on how they're leveraging the AI, be it in e-discovery, contract review, due diligence. And their outcomes and drivers are also different because ultimately they're there to make cash, right? Whereas the corporate is very much focused on outcomes. So how can we, as this corporate like oil and gas company A, leverage this AI piece of solution to help me come to an outcome either quicker, we can demonstrably show how we've reduced costs and savings, and just thinking about those processes.
Fantastic. Great answer. Very, very comprehensive.
There we go, mate.
Second question.
Should I stay or should I go?
The should I stay or should I go conundrum for legal tech buying. How does this affect the sales cycle?
I mean, it's something very close to my heart. I've been in legal tech sales for 15 years, and I think if we're talking, a lot of the conversations before you've had and lots of people are having is how lawyers should buy technology, but I don't think everyone overly talks around how the sellers should sell the technology to the lawyers. And it's a very complex process depending on who you are and how you go around that process. And as I've mentioned a lot through this conference and discussions I have in the ecosystem, there's a lot of people that you can sell to that have the ability to say no, but don't have the ability to say yes, right? And so understanding where those gatekeepers sit within the decision-making process is vital, because ultimately you need to win the hearts and minds as you go through that. So let's say, for example, you're selling a contract lifecycle management tool to a legal department, you're going to have to understand all of the people involved in that lifecycle, right? So who is the head of sales, who are the procurement and compliance guys, legal operations, are there contract lawyers involved? And so this sales cycle, which may visually be you thinking about, I'm just going to go sell to this GC or head of legal ops, all of a sudden you've got 15 people to sell to, and they've all got different drivers, and they've all got different aspirations for their role and how they can get promoted. Some of them may be even really cautious about acquiring your technology because they feel they may threaten their job. So again, it's all about how you're defining the roadmap on how you sell that, bring people along for the journey, get your evangelists in place and get everyone comfortable with that. So that's kind of how I think about that.
This is so true. I experienced it myself, and I think any founder faces the same issue, and it's not easy on your own to map this and figure it out in the best way possible.
How do you think about it?
I agree, it's very challenging to sell in the legal industry.
Yeah.
I think they are either people are rather conservative, or how should I say, they tend to want the perfect solution from day one, which in a nascent industry like legal tech is not always easy to achieve. There's somehow a learning curve both sides, I think, and that makes it very complex. Budgets is also, frankly, it's getting better, but budgets have been ridiculously low in the legal industry for corporates, even for law firms, but more so for corporates, and that's another challenge.
I think it's about how can you bring these people on a journey, and so someone mentioned it earlier in one of the talks that really resonated with me is a lady from Herbert Smith's Freehills was saying that we completely accept that the piece of technology we may procure may not be in its final position, but we are more than happy to come on that journey and help build out that solution if they're open with it. So if people are coming to me and saying, I've got all the bells, whistles, piece of tech, it's going to do everything for you, they're kind of calling BS on that, right? And so if you can tailor the response to be like, hey, we're not a finished product, and we need you to come on this journey with us to help evangelize and give your subject matter expert input to the solution, I think everyone wins in that scenario.
Rob, last questions for the day, I promise.
You can't always get what you want.
When it comes to client services, is it more money for nothing, or really you can't always get what you want?
So I think this is when we're talking around outcomes, right? And so lots of people, like again, I've been selling legal tech forever and a day. And when you first come into this world, you are more focused on what the solution can do. So you get really focused on, it's called feature bashing, right? So you go meet a GC, you go meet a lawyer, and you go, this is my solution, you can do this, and you can do this, and they can do this, and they can do this. And lawyer may come on that journey and get excited by it, but you're not actually thinking about the outcome, right? And depending on who you are within the legal department or a law firm, will care about that technology in different ways. So if you're a GC, or if you are the senior partner or equity partner, whoever you are, you actually don't really care about the tech, right? You care about the outcome of the technology. And so again, it's all about thinking about who you are selling to. And so if I'm having that discussion with the senior partner, they're not going to care about that it's low code, no code. They're not going to care about the uptime. They're not going to care about the UI. They're going to care about, ultimately, is that going to save me in the bottom line, or is it going to reduce my risk, or is it going to improve the way we can increase revenue? It doesn't really matter about the tech, right? Other people within the firm or the corporate will care about the technology, kind of the users on the front line. But again, it's all about definition of what that outcome is for each individual. And so, for example, if I'm a paralegal, for example, and I've got to use the piece of solution or piece of technology, I'm going to care about how easy is it to use. Is it going to augment what I do already, or is it just going to be a pain? Because if it's just I'm doing my job here and then I have to come over here to do data entry, that's not going to help me out from an outcome perspective. So again, I've always try and look at these conversations from a perspective of the technology provider selling to the end user. Because I think in conferences, I think it's great, and we're here to kind of support the legal ecosystem. But I don't think we really talk about the stress of the salesman, right? And how we can support those guys. Because ultimately, if we can improve the selling and buying process from our perspective, everyone wins in that environment.
Thanks, Rob, for those illuminating comments and thoughts. Very powerful. It's been a real pleasure to have you as a host.
Push.
And for you guys watching, stay tuned for the next episode of Zaven Rock and Roll Interviews.